Happy New Year's, my fellow Chibits. Today I am here to bring you a Berserk volume review, volume 28. This cover, before I even dive into this volume, this cover is kick-ass. Like, I want to show you something real quick, okay? There is a poster. As you know, the recent volumes of Berserk have been having posters, and I need to actually start showing you the posters when I get to them. Look at this poster right quick. That is kick-ass. That is straight up kick-ass. And then the other poster behind it, let me get to it, is this. Look at that. Come on. Don't tell me that does not look fucking amazing. So, the posters. Whoa. Just the artwork is ridiculous when it comes to Berserk. So, volume 28. I reread this about 2 times. I reread it twice because I just wanted to get the full grasp of everything that was going on. And there's something that was kind of revealed in this volume that brings up a lot of questions. One specific scene in this volume, and most likely you all know what I'm about to talk about. Was that Guts and Casca's child in this volume? Because I went back. Now, the reason why I reread this twice was just to make sure. I went back to volumes, like earlier volumes, volume like 4 and 5 and all that. I looked at the childhood of Guts. I went back to see how Guts looked like when he was a child. And the scary part is that this child, this boy in this volume looked exactly like Guts. Like, his similarities, the way he looks like Guts and Casca in this volume is just ridiculous. It's scary because the similarities are there. Now, I don't know necessarily if this is supposed to be obvious. I don't know if this is like, Kentaro leading us on a false trip or fury crafting. But that child looked like Guts and Casca. The hair, the facial structure, the eyes, and just overall the way the child acted, and the way the child was perceived in this volume. Like, the motherly aspects of Casca actually caring for this child. And seeing that entire Pacific, panel. Let me see if I can find it. There's a Pacific panel actually in this volume to when Guts and Casca have, a moment. And I'm like, what the hell? Let's see. Yeah, this is it. The moment right here. Look at this. You see this right here? Guts and Casca actually have a moment with this child, this boy. And I know it's just not there to just be there. It's definitely, it means a lot more. And the overall way this boy was perceived in this volume, this boy actually saved Guts and stopped him from killing everybody. Because shit was about to hit the fan in this volume. Guts, he activated his Berserker armor, and he was about to kill everybody. He slaughtered these gator freaking familiars. He destroyed them, and then he destroyed this giant-ass whale elephant thing. He beat the shit out of that. But the thing was, after that, Guts was still in his Berserker mode, and he turned his blade towards his fellow friends, his companions. He was about to cut down Casca, Serpico, Varnice, Puck, Isidro. He was about to kill everybody. He didn't give a shit. And so, that boy stepped in and actually saved the day. So, if it wasn't for that boy, which I know for a fact as well, I went back to look. That boy, when you see, him looking at Guts, when Guts looks at, his companions that he's about to slaughter in cold blood through his vision, you see exactly where Casca's positioned when she's holding the boy. You see a light shine. You see a light shine from where the boy is positioned at when Casca was holding him, and then you see the little flame aspect thing of the little boy stopping Guts. The crazy part about it, with this scene, is that we clearly saw that the boy stopped Guts. He put his hand on Guts' armor, inside of the astral world or whatever, with his odd, and he stopped Guts, and, the armor cracked around his face. But the crazy part about it was after the boy saved Guts and woke him up, Schierke actually saves Guts. She couldn't get in there to save Guts. which is very interesting because, like, it was like she was on the other side of the sill, as we saw in the volume. Like, she was on the other side of the sill, she was reaching in, trying to save Guts, but she couldn't get Guts. But the boy, or what if that was the boy, appeared and was able to surpass Schierke's actual powers. And I'm like, the power of this boy, it is pretty insane. Because that power beat Schierke's actual witch powers. And so, yeah. It's not just that either. We do know that Guts' child was really strong. And so, like in the past, like we saw him kick the shit out of demons. Like he was beating the shit out of demons. He managed to hold back spirits and ghosts and stuff in the past. And he was just a regular little infant, pretty much. And so, I could see how this most likely could possibly be Guts and Casca's child. The question is, though, how? How is it? Is that really? Because I remember in volume, was it 22? It was volume 22. Volume 22, we see round 2 of Zod versus Guts. And in that scene, like after that battle, Griffith actually grabs his heart and he's like, oh, the feelings from that child that's in part of my being, my vessel, is affecting me. And that makes me think, like, the child technically is inside Griffith, but how is the child here? A lot of questions I have right now. A lot of mysteries and a lot of questions, but that's pretty much all I could say at the moment. There's not any massive concrete evidence that lets me know that it is Guts' child. There's no concrete evidence, but the similarities are there. It is definitely there, but I don't know. Hopefully I will find that out in upcoming volumes. I really want to know that. I'm really interested in finding out more about this child. So anyways, past the entire ordeal of this child, I want to talk about the aspect of Guts and his armor. We find out more about this cursed armor, the Berserker armor that Guts currently wears. And after finding out about this cursed armor even more, I don't know what to say about it. Like, we find out Guts is already experiencing some of these traits already. It's already pretty much too late in some things. Guts has started to have fade of colors in his eye. For instance, he's starting to go colorblind. Or probably go blind altogether. Also, Guts is losing taste in food. Like, he can't taste anything. Supposedly from what the Skeleton Knight told Guts in this volume. He's losing taste. He shakes uncontrollably. He can't control shaking. And we saw him shaking in the last volume. I saw that. And in this volume, he's slightly shaken too. So Guts is shaking uncontrollably. He's going either colorblind or blind. He's also losing sense of taste. That explains the last volume when he was being fed. And like he acted like there was no reaction. It's because he couldn't actually taste the food. So Guts is literally losing his senses, like his ability as a human, pretty much. What makes him human. He's losing what makes him human. Taste. Feel. Sight. Like, in the volume, it states that if you continuously use this armor, this is what the Skeleton Knight said. He says if you continually use this, you will lose your warmth. You will lose your light. And you will lose your voice. So, from what I understand from this dialogue, Guts is yet to lose this, but I think I know where this is going. Voice symbolizes voice, Guts speaking. Warmth, to be able to perceive and feel the warmth of others. And light, I'm guessing the light would be his actual overall sight. So, Guts, every time he uses this armor, he is sacrificing his senses as a human being. His very humanity he is sacrificing when he uses this armor. Oh my god. He literally will turn into a fucking demon or a monster before this is all said and done with the series. Because if Guts is already technically losing his, like, ability to perceive colors, like he's going colorblind, and taste. He's already lost some senses that technically make humans humans. And then once he loses the ability probably to feel warmth and pain and shit, he technically will probably necessarily couldn't be called human any longer. So, I'm just quite shocked. I am really shocked. What has me shocked is that Guts is the exact opposite of apostles. Apostles sacrifice others to obtain their power. We've seen this through the majority of this series. Griffith, for instance. But Guts is sacrificing himself for power. The exact opposite of what Griffith did. Interesting. Just straight up interesting. So, moving past that, there was some very, very interesting dialogue with the Skeleton Knight. Besides the armor, there is an in-game goal set for Guts. The Skeleton Knight actually states to Guts, saying that the Elf King at the island that, you know, Guts and his companions are trying to reach, if Guts gets there and talks with the Elf King, it's a possibility that Casca can be saved. She can regain her mind, her memories. And with that dialogue, that right there, it sparks hope in Guts. Hope that he can be reunited with his long-lost lover. The person he lost that day of the eclipse. So, I'm glad Guts has gotten some form of hope with this. So with this aspect, it makes me very happy to know. But the sadness that was put on top of this hope was something else too, that Guts has to wonder. For one thing, just because, let's say, Casca does get healed, and she regains her mind, doesn't necessarily say Guts' wish will be granted. For instance, probably to live with Casca and be her lover. Necessarily to say that most likely might not happen. It might not. And so, Guts' wish still might not be granted. Her wish could be completely different from Guts if she does regain her memories. So, overall, very interesting setup for that. That is really massive setup for the future, and I really, 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 really hope, in the volumes I got yesterday, those 7 volumes behind me, or any volumes up in the future, I really hope I get to see Casca regain her memories. I really do. Because her as a character being broken as she is since volume 13, it's sad. And so I really, really hope that she regains her memories, for Guts can have, at the very least, some form of peace of mind. So, past that, talking about the fight, I actually want to dive into this more. I didn't dive in much with it, you know, in my last volume review, so I guess I will dive into it with this volume. So, apparently, that Emperor dude of the Kushan, he has a smoke ability. He's like fog. And what I saw from this volume was very interesting that stood out. I didn't notice it the first time I read it. Like I said, I read the volume twice. I didn't notice it the first time I read it, but actually rereading it again, I noticed that the Emperor's face, like the fog form face, came out of the Kushan. Those, like, wizards or sorcerers or whatever they were that were attacking Guts and his companions in this volume, when Serpico cut off their heads, you clearly saw, like, this fog that looked like the Emperor, like many versions of the Emperor as fog forms, just coming out of their mouth. And so that makes me think that either A, the Emperor turned them into, like, you know, apostles, pretty much, you know, demons. Like, he controlled them and turned them into demons. We have seen this done before, especially by the egg demon and what he did with the goat demon and stuff like that. Or he was brainwashing them or controlling them somehow with his fog inside of them. One or the other. Or he was granting them powers. That's also a possibility, too. Maybe the reason why they had fog inside of them is because he gave them some form of powers to where they could use magic. Possibility. So, I just wanted to point that out. I really wanted to point that out. And it also seems like the Kushan have a massive army of gators and freaking well beasts. Like, holy shit. Like, they're just straight up creepy and massive. And No normal army could probably fight those creatures if it wasn't for Guts. I'm just gonna say. That army was just ridiculous, even in this. And that's probably not even the full scale of what I should probably expect in the future. So, besides that, the thing I want to move on to is Schierke and Guts. This right here, these two characters, I noticed something for the past 2 volumes. I really haven't noticed much, but I'm actually starting to key in a lot more. It's starting to become more obvious. Schierke is starting to get a father complex, clearly. At first glance, I thought it was as if she was actually falling in love with Guts. I'm like, what the fuck? She is really young, and Guts is really old for her. And I'm like, whoa. But then thinking about it, it's actually more of a father complex. Guts is more of a father figure towards her. And so, I find that really interesting, how Guts is like a father figure to the little witch. It's adorable. It's really adorable. And to see her facial expressions and her gestures as through this volume in the past couple volumes, it really becomes obvious that she really cares for Guts. And she's also looking at him as if he was a father figure. And Guts is also opening up to her. I'm really, really shocked about Guts. Like, once again, I will state, 5 volumes ago, or even probably 7 volumes ago, Guts would never have opened up like he did to his companions. It really makes me happy to see how Guts is opening up to certain individuals, and especially with how he's watching over Schierke in this volume. Like, he tells the Cedro, go help her out after what you did, bring her back, and stuff like that. So, I love the dialogue, and I love the dialogue between Guts and his fellow friends that he's starting to get. So, it really makes the overall situation of Berserk so much more hopeful for Guts, to see how he actually has friends in need, and, like, he can actually have someone he can have near him that can give him company. So, I want to move on to the aspect of the ending. The ending sets up something, I think, that most likely will play a major role in the near future. I don't know if it will. I don't know if it has yet to be settled in the current volumes where you all are, if you've already completely caught up in Berserk or not. But that girl, I forget exactly what she was. Was she an oracle? I think she was an oracle, wasn't she? Or what was that girl? The girl that serves underneath Griffith, you know, that is very different. Like, she is extremely different from others. We pretty much find that out in this volume. Like, she does a little bit of a backstory, like the Ugly Duckling type backstory, like that type of fairy tale, but she does a little bit of a twist on it. For instance, this girl that's talking to Schierke at the end of this volume, she states that she was more of like a kite. And the thing was with this dialogue was that she is the only one that could fly and understand the feelings of Griffith, the hawk. And I'm like, so apparently she can understand the feelings, and she can understand the viewpoint of where Griffith is at. Like, she understands his position, his feelings, and stuff like that. She's like at that high pedestal like Griffith. But nobody else can experience this but her. For instance, like the symbolism for the dragons. The dragons actually were a reference to the demons, and she stated like the demons could not even understand the hawk. And so, even though she's a regular human girl that is extremely different from most, she says she can understand Griffith. And clearly she has jealousy towards the princess that was saved by Griffith. So, I see this going to be turning into something very dark in the future, because jealousy kills. It definitely does, and this is Berserk. So, her being jealous of the princess might prove to be fatal, because she states that the princess is like the duck, okay? And she's quite jealous of this duck and the hawk. And she technically wants to be with the hawk. So this is romance jealousy. She's jealous. She wants to be with Griffith. But the prince and the princess, pretty much, you know, Griffith and the princess have to be together to have the kingdom. So, I wonder where that's going to go. I am really, really invested in finding out exactly where that will go. Probably not going to be too pretty. I'm willing to bet it. Also, that foreshadowing of the owl. Pretty much the owl is Schierke and, you know, the girl that's Kite. And to see that it pretty much, she says, like, they will meet once again. Okay, so I have 2 more points I want to discuss. I want to talk about Schierke and the Kushan, and the Kushans are pretty much killed for no reason. And I want to talk about the Skeleton Knight and certain dialogue he said at the beginning of this volume that really kind of made me laugh a little bit. So, I want to talk about the Skeleton Knight dialogue first. So, the Skeleton Knight states to Guts, like, challenging Griffith is like challenging the writer. And the only way to defeat Griffith is by being outside the story. So, I love that analogy to Griffith. That really, that just shows you how powerful Griffith is. And for Kentaro to write something like that, it makes me question, how could someone defeat Griffith? I mean, we do know Guts is technically outside the laws of reason. We know he is. So, I just like that. Pretty much no normal person in the world pretty much could stand up to Griffith. You can't. No demons, pretty much, from what I understood, could stand up to Griffith, since Guts is in between the astral worlds. Guts can technically defy reason. So, I just found that very interesting. So, moving on to the final point I want to talk about. I want to talk about Schierke and the Kushan. So, in this, a bunch of armies are gathering in this town. A bunch of armies that we have seen through the beginning parts of Berserk. Armies that we saw Guts and the Band of Hawks beat the shit out of through the Journey of the Golden Age arc. I remember so many of those names, and to see them return in this volume was pretty shocking. But the thing is since war is going on and the Kushans are, invading Midland and killing people, technically the slaves of Kushans, like Kushan slaves, they need to be dealt with. And honestly, this aspect is actually realistic. I have seen this in history books and stuff, where if there's a war and there's a certain race that, someone's waging against, because, I mean, there is some wars I've seen to where, like, let's say there was a different army, people from that certain land would get killed because, they're fighting against that land, and they might turn against the people of the homeland. So, pretty much, the people getting killed, I understand, but it's really sickening when you see the way it was actually displayed in this volume with how they were just killed for no reason. They were pretty much represented as livestock, and they couldn't be dealt with any other way besides killing them. I mean, because they would have probably defected to the Kushan army. So to see that, it was just really depressing to see how many people just got senselessly slaughtered because of what is going on between the Kushans and the Midland armies. Innocent people and children getting killed for no reason. So, I think this is pretty much the end of my Volume 28 review of Berserk. It's New Year's, it's getting pretty late, and I got to go and meet up with my family and stuff like that. So, you all have a wonderful day or not, wherever you live. Happy New Year's, everybody. I wish you a great New Year's, and I love you. Chibi out.